come this way. Kyle, move this way a little. Okay. What am I saying?
How's it going, guys?
If you're at the beginning of your curly or healthy hair journey and you don't know your hair profile, this one is for you. First thing for porosity is going to be how the water droplets sit on the hair. So you can see for his hair, those water droplets are sitting right on top, and even if I just work it over, it is not working through the hair. It just stays wet and dripping. They just become bigger water droplets rather than working right in. For normal or medium porosity hair, these water droplets will stay on top for a little bit, the same way you saw for low porosity, but it soaks in much quicker. As you can see, there's still some water droplets. Once I just put my hand in it a little bit, it actually will wet the hair rather than the low porosity one where it just sits on top the entire time. Hair now being high porosity, when I spray some water on it, water droplets soaks in right away. Droplets do not sit, as you can see, it's just wet immediately. Not sit on top. I don't have to even like do one swipe. My hair is pretty much just wet. Looking at coarseness, this is one single strand of his hair. Mine would take about 3 strands for you to be able to see it like this in the camera. So he's got very coarse, very thick strands of hair. His hair is kind of in between mine and Dylan's. So you can still see his strand, but it's a little bit finer than Dylan's, so it's right in the middle. So I always tell you guys my hair is fine. This kind of looked like one strand of Dylan's hair. This is like a whole bunch of mine. This is one single strand of hair, which you can't even see without me doing this. And even like this, it's so hard for you guys to see it. That's how fine my hair is compared to both of my brothers. Now, he's got super low porosity hair. We need to make sure that it's soaking wet. You can see that it's still wet to touch, but the product will sit on top the same way that the water does if it's not worked in properly. I'm just making sure that the hair is going to be soaking wet before I apply the curl cream. Also focusing on the roots because his roots get very dry and very frizzy. Complete opposite to my finer hair, where I'm avoiding getting too much product directly on it. Taking quite a bit of curl cream for his hair. He also likes it very defined, no volume. I'm actually getting right in there at the root because he gets a lot of frizz up there, and then I'm working it down. I'm just going to use brush to distribute it even more. Make sure, again, every strand is coated. Now I'm actually going to be using a gel that's not as sticky, but it's gonna give him a really strong hold, and I'm going to make sure I'm applying it just like the curl cream, raking it through and making sure that there's enough coated on the roots before I start brush styling. You'll see a little bit of the buildup of the product still on the hair, and it will work in even more once I start diffusing it because the heat, it'll open up the strands in a way that will allow the product to really get into the hair once I start applying the heat from diffusing. To apply products on medium to normal porosity hair, I'm going to make sure that it's nice and soaking wet. I don't want to leave it as damp as I would leave mine being high porosity because you want the products to work in, and it being wet will help a lot, especially because his hair is much thicker, so you don't want the products to just sit on top. For product application, we are going in with the Pattern Beauty Curl Gel. So this is pretty hydrating, but it gives him like a little bit of a hold, which is why he likes it. So he just likes to scrunch it in and let it air dry. You can see the product isn't sitting on top. It does easily work in the hair. It just needs it to be wet. Now for my products, I am starting with a curl cream. I showed you with Dylan's hair that when I add product to it and I start brush styling or I start layering products, you can actually see the products if I add too much, but his hair can handle a lot more. In fact, his hair needs a lot more than mine does, and it needs to be worked in. His hair needs to be absolutely dripping wet, which mine, if it was dripping wet and I styled it, it would look like I have 3 curls on my head. Mine is kind of in between dripping wet and damp because I don't want the frizz, which is what would happen if it was damp, but if it was too dripping wet, it would be too much for my hair. And as you can see, the product works in right away. I don't need to keep like massaging it in. Once I kind of feel that it's distributed, it's in terms of density, you can only see his scalp where I've parted it just now. If I move the hair around, you're not seeing his scalp at all, or it's very, very minimal. That's high density hair. You're only seeing where the part is. You got a lot of hair. You got high density. If you were to do like a straight part for his hair, you can see his scalp easily if you actually move the hair around a little bit. But unless you're giving him a part, it's not too low density. It's kind of in the middle. So again, it's the perfect in between to show you guys between mine being low density and my other brother being very high density. For my hair, you can see that without me having to do any sort of like very straight part, you can still see parts of my scalp. I'm kind of in between a low to medium density, more on the lower side though, but I know that there are people that have a lot less than me, especially compared to what I'm constantly around with my brothers all having the most dense, thick, beautiful, luscious hair ever. Mine is definitely lower density. So I'm gonna diffuse my hair and I will let you guys know how long it takes to completely dry it. It's currently 2:03. So let's see how long this takes me. My hair is fully dry. I have not scrunched out the crunch yet. I am just gonna let it set while I do my makeup. So you guys know, it is 2:18. So I blow dried my hair for about 15 minutes and it's already dry. That's how quick my hair dries. I also have the Dyson diffuser, so it dries a little quicker, but at the end of the day, it does not take me long to diffuse my hair. Now my hair is fully dried, fully scrunched out, 2:43. So again, for high porosity hair, it gets wet very quickly, it dries very quickly in comparison to low porosity hair. It takes a little bit to get wet. You could be running the shower over it for quite a while, and then it also takes a really long time to dry, especially if you're trying to air dry it. And then normal or medium porosity is kind of in the middle. In terms of density, you saw that my hair was the lowest density. My brother's hair, Dylan, he has the highest density out of the three of us. And then Kyle is right in between, again, that normal to medium density range. In terms of coarseness, you saw Dylan's hair strands were super coarse. Didn't really need the white wall behind it to see one strand. His hair is very thick. Kyle's was kind of in between, and mine, I did everything I could to show you guys my one baby strand. Some key takeaways are your porosity is very important for figuring out what types of ingredients are good for your hair, whether that be more protein or more moisture, or a combination, and when to kind of switch it up. Density is important when choosing what types of stylers you're trying to use. So if you've got very dense hair, you're gonna turn to the thicker hair products, the creamier. Your hair can handle those, shampoos and conditioners included. If you've got lower density, you might wanna be reaching for lighter weight products, not only for your hair results, but also for your scalp health. Because if you're adding very thick, rich, creamy products near or on your scalp, then it's clogging your pores like on your scalp, and that in turn can lead to hair loss. So be very careful. Density is important when choosing your stylers. When it comes to coarseness, you can determine things like how often you're gonna need a haircut, how often you're noticing the dry and split ends, and how often you're needing to deep condition, how often you're needing to clarify, those types of things. If you've got finer hair, you probably need to go get a haircut maybe every 3 to 4 months if you're maintaining shape. You can probably get away with 6 months if you're trying to grow it. For very coarse hair, you can get away with probably 6 months or more without having to go get a haircut. It doesn't always grow as quickly, but if you're not caring for it properly, you will see those dry split ends. So that is very important. At the beginning of my curly journey, it always used to be deep condition once a week. I did that at the beginning and it was not good for my hair, not good for my scalp. Once I learned that my hair is fine and it doesn't need to be treated the same way, it helped me so much. I maybe have to deep condition at this point once a month. Dylan, for example, needs to deep condition every single week to maintain his hair health because his hair is so dry every wash day. By the time that 7 days is up, he is in need of a serious shampoo and deep condition treatment. That's what coarseness is important for. We hope this video helped you figure out your hair profile. Let me know what yours is in the comments. Hopefully seeing the visual of all three was helpful for you guys. And like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Bye guys.